Welcome back to Growth Catalyst app. Today we are going to look at conflict resolution strategies because conflicts are a part of our daily life, whether it is personal life or professional life, office life. Conflict is part and parcel of what we do. I don't see the way you see things. I want to do things in a certain manner which you may not agree with, and therefore conflict is bound to happen. And it's not always bad. Conflict, when it happens, may look bad, but when it is resolved, it results in great understanding for both the parties and maybe resulting in a completely new way of doing things. Conflict forces people to rethink their positions, strategies, and what is right. Because I think what I think is right, you think what you think is right, your way is right. And when we sit together and resolve this conflict, maybe we will be able to find out completely new way of doing things, which is very, very good for organizations. So we are going to look at what is conflict, how to resolve it, and how to go about the whole thing. Let's jump in. It could be all about the task and how to do the task. For example, I could be a person who wants a step-by-step approach to resolving that, going about a particular task. You may be a person who wants a more flexible approach. You may be saying that, yeah, I know what to do, and the how to do part, you leave it to me. So why do you want to specify step by step? But I may be a person who wants to say that, okay, step number one, this is what we should do. Step number two, this is what we should do, and so on, so on. And the conflict is in terms of how to approach the task. There is no problem in terms of what needs to be done. The problem is in terms of how we go about doing that, what kind of approach we take. So what is called as task-based conflict. Second type of conflict may be a more relationship-based conflict, which is either the communication style or the personalities clash. So, for example, I may be a person who is very, very direct in my communication, call a spade a spade. You may be a little more polite in your dealing. You may be a little more indirect in how you call out things. And therefore, the communication styles clash and it can make people very, very uncomfortable in the whole situation. If the two teams are uh, between two different leaders with two different communication styles, it can be very, very difficult for the two teams to gel together. So a lot of those things happen in an organization, and therefore it's important to recognize where what kind of conflict is happening. Is it a task-based conflict that we are undergoing, or is it personalities and communication styles which are the root cause of the conflict? We need to understand that. When we understand that, we can sit together to resolve that. What are the strategies to resolve this conflict if and when it happens? People need to sit together. First, identify that there is a conflict. A lot of times people understand and it's the elephant in the room, but nobody speaks about it. A lot of times I know that we have a conflict, you know that we have a conflict, but we don't really sit together and resolve. In personal situations, it may still be okay because nobody else is affected by that. But in an organization situation, having conflict and not having resolved it can be very, very bad for the organization if people don't see eye to eye, people don't cooperate with each other, which is very, very essence of the organizational principles, then life can be very difficult. So first step, understand, appreciate that there is conflict, that there is something that I don't agree with you. So when that happens, there is good progress which has been made. Step number two, sit together and discuss as to what is causing the conflict. A lot of times it could be as discuss communication styles. A lot of times it could be that how I want to do versus how you want to do things, but discuss about that. And as a resolution, after having done the two steps, resolution can be of three types. One, it could be a bit of compromise. I gave up a little, you gave up a little. Both of us appreciate that more or less we have resolved it in terms of the conflict, but a bit of it is still remaining. I have not fully got what I wanted. You have not fully got what you wanted, but both of us start working together at least peacefully, which is good for the organization. That's point number one, which is all about compromise. The point number two is all about cooperation. Cooperation and collaboration is all about win-win. We both iron out whatever issues we have. We both discuss openly in terms of what is this problem, why we are refusing to see eye to eye, why there is a conflict, why there is a tension in the air. And we say that, okay, this is what is causing and this is what we need to do. So that it is a complete win-win for both the parties. There is nothing that anybody is losing. This is the best strategy for the entire organization. The third is a little bad for the organization is complete avoidance. Avoidance is appreciating that there is conflict, Appreciating, yes, we need to talk about it, but avoiding to talk about it now. And it can be a great strategy, especially when emotions are running high, to give time for the emotions to cool off. Because when emotions are running high, there's no point sitting together and discussing. It will result in eruption of anger. It will result in words becoming bigger and bigger, and it will be bad for the organization. And therefore, avoidance is a great strategy, especially when emotions are running. But it can be bad if the cool off period is extended. A lot of times, what happens is that the cool off looks like a peace. It's only a small temporary truce, and people don't appreciate that. People don't want to bridge the gap, and people don't want to restart the discussions that they stopped for a while. And if that happens, it can be bad for the organization. But avoidance is a great strategy to cool off emotions. But whether it's compromise or collaboration or even avoidance, it is important to actively listen to what the other party has to say. If I have a problem, then the urge is to talk about it, that I want you to listen. A lot of times, in the active quest of me making you to listen, I forget that I have to listen first. So, active listening, listening to other party in terms of what is causing the grief, what is causing this conflict is very, very important. A lot of times, I'm too busy thinking about what answers I should be giving, what arguments I should be preparing, or what are the things that I should be telling you, that I forget to actively listen to what you are telling about what the conflict is as you see it. So it's very, very important to suspend the judgment, suspend the urge to talk about, to first listen to you, to understand where you are coming from, what your grief is. When I do that, I cross at least half the distance so that the rest of the distance can be covered by you. But it all starts with active listening to other parties to understand what is causing this conflict. Two simple strategies are there to resolve the whole thing. One strategy is to get the parties. Suppose there are two people who are in conflict with each other, two teams which are in conflict with each other. Bring the two teams, and suppose the first team, for simple argument, let's say that first team is all about step by step resolution of the whole task, and the second team is all about very flexible approach being for the task. Suppose that is a conflict, what is all about, then put them both in the same room and ask them to switch and play the role. Which is, if I am all about step by step approach, I think that that is the best approach, and that is what should be practiced by the organization. And I don't see eye to eye with you, who is professing a very flexible approach, giving the target, giving where people have to land up. Then I, the mediator, puts both of us in the room and asks us, okay, Vishy, you talk about, you are professing for the step by step approach. Now, what you do? Okay, we have heard you. Now you think about what the five reasons why you should be professing flexible approach. And he tells you, saying that, my dear friend, you have been talking about flexible approach. You think about five reasons why we should be practicing flexible approach. Now I will give you both of you 15 minutes. Think about the reasons, put it together. And I want both of you to talk about the other approaches, pros, only pros here. So when people are pushed into the other party's shoes, they are able to look a little better in terms of how it feels in the shoes of the others. And role playing, switching the roles is a great tool in terms of making the people realize what is it to think from the part of the shoes of the others. It works wonders many, many times when people are able to appreciate sitting in the clothes and shoes of the other party. The tool is to find somebody senior and bring that person as a mediator. Many, many times organizations do justice, either structured or unstructured approach where a senior comes and mediates, listens to both the parties and gives a solution in terms of, yeah, you are right for all of these reasons. You are also right for all of these reasons. But you know what? This is better given the context in which we are working. Some of those solutions are given, but finding the mediator should be respected by both the parties, should be neutral, should be unbiased, should be respected and loved and accepted as a person of great neutrality, who will take into account both parties' interests in mind. All of this, when that come together, and typically most seniors in organizations are respected and loved by most people in that organization, and therefore when seniors come and mediate, it becomes an acceptable solution for both the parties. I've given a complete 1 hour session, and lesson plan on conflict resolution because it is one of the most important skills, especially in an organizational context. And therefore, it becomes a very, very important skill to be picked up by people who are looking at going up the organization. At every level of the organization, conflict resolution is important, becomes more and more important as you go up the hierarchy. And that is why it is one of the 13 skills in my 13 skills soft skill bundle. If you want, you can check out. The link is given in the description below. And coming back to our lesson, our episode, conflict is not really bad. It is it has the ability to surface the tensions which are simmering in between down the layer of the organization. When the conflict has erupts, it brings out all of those tensions out in the surface. And when it is resolved, it could be a task resolution, it could be style resolution, it could be personality resolution, but it needs to be resolved. When it is resolved, it results in a beautiful place where people are able to come together much better before they were. So don't think conflict is bad. Use the conflicts to resolve them and use the resolution to bring people together and get into a better place. And wishing you all the very best in terms of resolving all the conflicts that ever come your way. See you in our next episode.